All right, folks, welcome to Morphy's Games of Chess. We got game number 32 coming up. The Morphy Lowenthal match continues with the 13th match game held on August 19th, 1858. Lowenthal has the white pieces and he launches the e-pawn. Morphy responds with e5, right? And here we go. Knight to f3. And you got Morphy once again playing knight f6, the Petrov's defense. Okay, so white takes the pawn. Black boots the knight. Now you can't go in yet, folks. Look at this. Let's put Shredder on. I showed this to you last time, but it's always good mentioning the trap. See this? Queen comes out, attacks your knight. Now, if you're dumb enough to move the knight, it's game over. See that one? That's one of those traps, right? No matter what, whatever you do, you block this way, you block that way, you end up losing your queen. Okay, so it's game over, right? You could call it quits for black now. So it's just once again, I like showing that in case you just, maybe you're not following in order, you just happen to find this and you see, oh, the Petrov's defense. Well, there's a little trap, okay? So what black always has to do is boot that knight first by playing d6. All right, the knight goes back, and then you could grab the pawn, okay? Let me turn off the analysis of Shredder. He wants to get in the fight, you know? But this is between Lowenthal and Morphy, and Lowenthal plays d4. And Morphy responds with, make sure here, yes, pawn to d5. So black has the knight up there. Now it looks pretty good, right? Nice, well-posted black knight for Morphy. All right, but anyway, here we go. What do we got coming next? After that, we got, oh yes, the bishop comes out on d3. And Morphy's move here, we mentioned it in the other games. This was, something Morphy whipped up. Bishop e7, protecting the black king on the open e-file. Precautionary move there. Develops the bishop and puts it on e7 to shield the king. And sure enough, white castles. That's what, you're going to throw that rook possibly on the open e-file. Okay, here comes Morphy developing another piece. Knight to c6. We got c4 by Lowenthal. Attacking d5. All right, Morphy develops another piece. Brings it to e6, the bishop, to defend the pawn also, and they swap the pawns. All right, they swap. Morphy takes back with the bishop, and now you get the knight flying in over here. And Morphy doesn't want to give up bishop for knight. He doesn't want to retreat the bishop, so he chops him off. And here we go. It even says here, as in the third game, okay, after you take back, it says, as in the third game, though an extra move on each side was played. Okay, so what was the extra moves? If you don't recall, Lowenthal had, Morphy had the pawn up here on f5, and Lowenthal had the rook on the open e-file. That's the difference right there between the third game and this one. Okay, so we take those moves back and changes things a little, right? Let's see what happens in this game. All right, so after the pawn takes, all right, Morphy brings his king to safety, castles. All right, here comes the bishop, and Morphy challenges that guy on f4. All the same, they trade. Okay, this is very similar to the third game. Okay, so now we got the knight. Let's see. Here's where it goes different now. The knight leaps up over here to g5. And now there's two on the h7, the black h7 pawn right here. Now the old master's given out. This is what should have been played. Just hit that knight. What does Shredder think? Let's see what he does, right? He moves okay, repositions it on e4. All right, but they were teaming up on that little guy on h7, that puny little pawn. The bishop, don't forget the knight and the bishop. You can't forget this guy, folks. He was aiming down there, too. Nice diagonal for Lowenthal's bishop on the light squares. But if you haven't noticed, Morphy's got a nice light square bishop, too, but it's going to come under the gun with these pawns. They call these hanging pawns, folks. They call these hanging pawns, this one and this guy. The D pawn and the C pawn. They're not isolated. When there's two like this, they're called hanging pawns. They're a little more but they're a little more dynamic than an isolated pawn, because an isolated pawn you can just block it. You control the square in front. For instance, if this pawn was missing, right, that D pawn would be an isolated pawn, and it'd be nice for black to just control the D5 square where the bishop is sitting. Maybe you bring your knight to E7. You know, you back it up. You bring the rook to D file. You know, but see, with this guy, is always a threat. Always a threat of booting that bishop back, see? So there's a little more dynamics with those hanging pawns. All right, so anyway, let's see what happens. Okay, just figured I'd mention. That's a little positional chess there for you. All right, so now, again, the knight came up, and instead of this, Morphy should have played H6. He plays, look at Shredder likes it too. All right, well, whatever. He plays this, and here's what the old masters say. They give the notes. Once again, as in the third and fifth games, this move is followed by trouble for black. All right, well, we'll see what happens. Here comes Lowenthal. C4, just like I was warning, folks. There's an exclamation point there. Now, interesting enough, let's just watch the trap. Say you pull back this guy, right? You pull him back. Now, you chop him. My mistake. Mouse slipped there. You chop him off, right? All right, the queen's got to retake, and then you get the pawn fork, and you're going to lose the knight. You see that? You lose a piece, folks. No way out of it, just to evaluate. Look. I mean, now it's just losing. It's losing for black. You're down a piece for what, a pawn? You're down a knight for a pawn. All right. Substantial advantage for white, right? Okay, so let's check this out again. Now, if he moves back here, you got the notes. The notes state this. This is what the old masters wrote. If the bishop retires, white advances the queen pawn, right, and seizes the open file. So now I was looking at this, and I'm saying, well, all right, look at Shredder already, jumping the knight to D4. And I mean, the way, no matter how it goes, all right, he claims the D, he gets the open E file, right? But I mean, it doesn't look like white's got much of an advantage here. So it's, I mean, look at the evaluation so far. It's, heck, it's 0.19, folks, 0.19. All right, 0.25. I mean, you know, black's doing all right. I think black can hang in here. That's all I'm trying to say. The old masters, I don't really see what they were seeing. White grabs the open file. I mean, can't you challenge white over here for the file? Or even now, look at Shredder wants to just, you know, attack those pawns. I guess you free your light square bishop, although I would guess that white's going to chop it off with the knight on G5 when he wants, right? Now look, now it's saying to play C5. All right, look, basically it's another whole other battle. All right, I don't really see any advantage for white. Okay, so let's go back now. Now, if you go all the way back here, well, now you leave your F pawn hanging. Okay, you play that, right? Now, it looks like there's two things. There's the D pawn is hanging over here, right? I don't know which way you want to go. But also, all right, they're saying to hit this first. Okay, he chops this off. Now, you take with the king. Why would you do that? All right, try to figure this out now. All right, he plays the rook. Now he's threatening to bring the bishop here. See that? He wants to go to E4 and then win the exchange. Okay, so he goes here, and now what do? Right? And it shows that, I guess white won a pawn, right? He won a pawn, got away with it. He's up 1.1 and change. Not substantial. I don't know. Shredder likes this move. All right, he gives the check. The king goes over. I don't know. Once again, another fight, right? He's up a pawn, but, you know, maybe he could work that into something. I don't know. So maybe that's one way it could go. But I'll show you what I'll show you what Morphy does. He doesn't retreat. We could at least say if this goes back, he loses the F pawn, right? As simple as that. That's the evaluation. He loses the pawn. Is it enough? Who knows, right? From there. Now look at this. Watch what Morphy does, though. You can see what Shredder already sees it. Morphy throws the bishop down on G2. He takes, grabs the pawn. King takes, right? So he grabbed the pawn for the piece, but now Morphy slides the queen over to G6, pinning the knight. Pinning the knight on G5. Okay? Well, Lowenthal lends support. He plays the F pawn first. He plays the F pawn up to support the knight. All right, now what's the rule, folks? Right, the rule, tactical rule. When you got a piece pinned, you pile on. And this is an absolute pin, folks. It's against the king. When a piece is pinned against the king, it's an absolute pin. It is against the rules to be able to move your piece. Right? That knight cannot move. It's against the rules. So you pile up on it. When you can hit an absolute pin piece, when you could hit it with a pawn, you know, you're winning the piece, folks. So anyway, that's what's going to transpire, and Lowenthal plays H4. Adding more support, so now, let's see, I think Morphy plays an in-between move here. Let's see. We got, yes, pawn. Oh, my fault. Okay, here's what he does first. He doesn't play the pawn up. Not yet. What he does is he says, you're going to grab my knight, I'll take yours if you're falling asleep. Right? So now Morphy moves the knight. Out of all places, he goes back. All right, he's on the back rank. And now Lowenthal adds support. Okay, Morphy grabs the piece while he can. And Lowenthal takes back with this guy, with the H pawn. Right? But now, when you put Shredder on, look at this. I think it likes to take with the F pawn. There you go. See? He likes to take with the F pawn. And now you got the bishop and the rook. The open F file for the rook on F1 and the bishop on the light squares. Ganging up on that F pawn. Right? And, you know, it looks like White's building an advantage here. The pawns are once again, Morphy won the piece back. And the pawns are equal. But positionally, he's cramped, folks. And what do? That knight on the back rank, where's it going? If it goes over here, right? Well, now you lose the F pawn, okay? So he can't even do that. And maybe, you know, if you play, I was thinking something like this. You play the B pawn so you could swing the knight. Let's just make a silly move. You swing the knight here, right? Swing the knight to B7. But here you go. Look at Shredder coming up, teaming up on that F pawn. Well, what could White do? I mean, what could Black do against White's attack on that F pawn? There's 2 defending and 3 attacking it. There's nothing he can do, right? So it looks like White's building. He's building. Now Shredder shows a 2.37 over a 2 +2 advantage, right? Over a +2 advantage. So looks like White could get a win there. So, but all right, Lowenthal goes this way with it. He goes this way. He takes back with the H pawn. Okay, so now Morphy brings the knight. He brings the knight over here, and here comes Lowenthal with the queen up to F3. Now, like Shredder shows, makes sense to jump the knight here, right, folks? Why not? Now, if you try to hit it, you can come in here. What are you going to do, right? Because if you take, what's nice is you take back your queens protecting that pawn. And you can't attack Black's queen because when you take with check, right, folks? You take with check. And now once White takes back, well, heck, you can move your queen. You take the pawn. Why not, right? I mean, heck, you can't fall for those type of blunders, right? So anyway, you can hop that knight by hopping the knight up like that. If White can't take it, oh, look out. I mean, then you're going to bring a rook to the open file, the open E file, and back up that knight. I mean, really, what's this do? Does this really do anything? What's he threatening here? I just don't get it, folks. What's this do? If I take, look, oh, okay. He's getting a check. Oh, it's deadly. He ends up, all right, so let's look at that again. I missed that one. He pushes this not for the, trading of the pawns in any way. He's doing it to unleash the bishop on the light square diagonal, bishop c4. You see what happens, folks? If you take, like I was a dope, I took there. I didn't even go into this when I was reviewing the game. Look at that. You get this check. Now, no way can you move over here because you got the open H file. And you lose the queen, right? What are you going to do? Okay, so there you go. That's that. You end up losing your queen for the rook. Actually, look. If you bring the queen, now if you bring the queen here, you just take with the pawn, right? No, you take with... Why wouldn't you take like this? Right? I don't know. The computer's going to probably find it. You let it go long enough. Why take like this? Let's see. It opens up. I don't know. Was it going to be mate over here? Is that what it is? He's going for mate. Yeah, it doesn't matter, folks. If you come up to protect, you can't do anything. Look, you come up to protect, it's still mate. See that? The bishop takes f7 and g8, and the queen delivers the deadly blow. You see that? Nice pattern to a nice pattern to memorize right there. See that? All right, so that's why, I'm learning. I'm getting them as I go, folks. I'm digging them all up. We're bringing them all to you. Look at this. All right, so you would take with the rook because you got the mate threat coming. All right, so anyway. And you don't want to, you can't, going all the way back, you wouldn't want to go and move the king because then it's going to end up you're going to be mated. Really, what you try to fight on, if you want, you try to block with the rook, and if you'll end up losing the exchange, right? There you go. He takes the exchange, and white's up now. He's up the exchange, so for a pawn. All right. Who knows? Maybe black can hold on. I don't think so, folks. I don't think so. This looks dangerous. The files are open. Those rooks are going to be real strong. All right, so anyway, what do you got? Let's see, one thing here. One thing. After all this, well, you take, that knight could get posted on E4 though. Be very strong. Be worth. It'll be worth a rook. So who knows? Maybe that's a fight, That might be interesting. Like, let's just see. All right, Shredder likes this. All right, you defend your knight first. Why would you do that? I know it looks like white can force a trade of queens. There you go. There you go. See it? There's no way to get out of it now. You're going to have to force the trade. All right, so you trade them, right? And now you got 2 pawns on the queen side. Maybe black could get a passed pawn out of it. But I'm sure the masters are looking at this. They know that white's better. All right. Interesting, though. When you get a knight and it's as strong as a rook, like this one posted up here, but once the queens are traded, there's no mating threats. If the queen could get up into attacking mode against the white king, along with that knight posted, they work beautifully together. But white denies black that opportunity. See, you got to force the trade, and there you go. So I don't know. White holds the edge, 2.5, right? He's up plus 2.5 or so. And, it could go many. It looks like white's going to pull it out. But you never know, folks. All right. So anyway, that's what this would be, this move here. That's what it's about. All right. So they're saying queen here to stop the bishop. Right? We got a whole different fight going on. All right. So let's go back to the game. Let's go back to the game now. All right. So, let's see. He takes back with the H pawn, and now he moved the knight. This is Morphy, right? Move 20. He moves the knight to F7. Queen comes to F3, and now Morphy brings the knight to H6 with a question mark. And it's obvious the pawn on G5 is pinned to the white king, so that you can't capture the knight. Morphy's thinking to get to bring the knight to G4. Nice post, right? But look at this. Look at what Lowenthal does. Queen to G3. All right, can you put the knight here now, folks? Let me turn off the engine so he doesn't give anything away. Can you go in? Can you go in now, folks? Well, if you did, you lose a piece. Queen takes. How do you like that, right? Pawn takes, and then bam, you get your queen back. See that? White's up a piece. He's up. He just won Black's knight for nothing extra. You know, he's up a minor piece now. Easy win. Forget about it. Game over. And if you ever notice, this queen move now renews. It unpins the pawn on G5. So now that knight on H6 is really hanging. So, all right, Morphy can't go there now, right? So he goes back. And now he can't come to D6 because White takes it away with C5, taking away this beautiful square for the knight. Now he can't even get there. And Morphy's in trouble now. He's losing the positional game. And he's... Look at the space disadvantage, right? The knight can't seem to get a good post. If you got a knight jumping around looking to post himself and he can't seem to get anywhere, you're in trouble, okay? Especially when you're fighting against a bishop like this that Lowenthal has. It's open board. All right, so here we go. After C5, Morphy brings the queen rook, attacking the D5 pawn, and look at Lowenthal backing it up with his light square bishop, and now getting ready to play D6, you know, opening up the diagonal for him. So Morphy hits him like this with the pawn, right? And now the bishop moves back. He's aiming right at the enemy king. See that? Very dangerous, the potential, right? He moves it back, and Morphy goes at him. Let's see. It even says here, wait. Says right here on this move, after Morphy throws the B pawn attacking the bishop, the queenside maneuver is too slow, but Black's position is beyond remedy. All right, so the bishop goes back. Here comes Morphy getting ready to play A4 now and hit that bishop off this diagonal. Okay, so now we have Lowenthal bringing his rook to the open E file, threatening to bring it down, folks, down to E6, and the queen has nowhere to go. Okay, so, but for instance, you just do anything. I don't know. Just move. Let's just say you move this guy. Say you go with your plan, right? Let's see. Say you go with your plan like this. You hit the bishop, right? Well, now what do you think happens? Let's show it. Let's show it. Here it comes. He comes down to E6. See? Where's that queen going to go, folks? Where's he going to go? All right, you go over here. Now the bishop moves, right? Now the bishop moves. And unfortunately, even something crazy like this, you say, well, I'm hitting the bishop, so I'll take him, and then I'll take him. I'll get a rook and bishop. You still see the pawn you get to take this guy with check. See that? Matter of fact, look at Shredder. Look at this guy. He takes the pawn first. Can you believe it? Why? Because if you move your knight to safety, actually, look, the only square for the knight is here. You get the discovered pawn push check. Look at that, by the queen on B3. And you're forking. How do you like that, huh, folks? That's really artistic. Look at that picture right there. The pawn fork of the two rooks. We haven't seen that one yet. Burn that in your memory banks, right? The pawn forks both rooks. Right? You're going to lose one of them. So whatever you do, here you go, right? Look at this, insult to injury. He doesn't even take one. You're going to take one of them sooner or later. Takes advantage of the pinned knight. Look at this. He pins the knight. The queen keeps the knight pinned on f7 because it was check, folks, if you haven't noticed. When the pawn moves up, it's discovered check, right? So you block it because if you do this, look, if you block with the rook, now you take over here, make yourself a new queen. The only move is here. And look, you got mate, right? You got mate coming sooner or later. All right, it's going to be mate. You're going to have mate next move on h5. There you go. All right, 2 queens. Forget about it. You're in trouble. All right, so you can't take that way. You block with the knight going back. Okay, you don't even take a rook yet. They're sitting there. You're going to get one. Don't worry. He can't move both of them on one move, right? So you team up on that knight that's pinned. All right, he's got the check move. All right, he's got a check move. All right, you get out of danger, right? And what does he do now, right? What does he do? I mean, if you move your rook, get a load of that, huh? He has to go back. Unbelievable tactics. If he moves here, folks, you go in, right? You go in and forget about it. If he moves it somewhere else along this rank, the back rank, I don't know, moves anywhere, you still go in. You go in like this with check. He moves over. Your queen promote, takes. There's the victory music, folks. Forget about it. All over. All right, it's all over. The victory music in the sub variation. All right. Beautiful mate there, queen and pawn, right? Pawn takes away h7. All right, so that's some shot right there. You don't see that one often, but it happens. The double rook fork with check. Beautiful. All right, anyway. I guess with check, too, because that way you can't get out of it, you know. You can't swing down, and he's helpless. You can't make a rook. One rook could give a check, and then he can move the other rook and worm his way out. Not this time. So all right, so here you go. You can't even do something crazy like that. See? You can't even try to get the rook and bishop for your queen, which is almost an even trade, not quite, but you're trying, right, folks? All right, so what would you do if you move over here? The bishop comes in, right? And now what do? All right, you're only square, folks. If you come back here, you get hammered by the rook, right? You lose the rook. You lose the queen for the rook. All right. And the whole time, if you draw back to here, folks, pawn fork, right? Pawn fork. You go back down and you take with check. Good night, Irene. You still lose your queen. Queen's got nowhere to go, right? You hit him later. After you take the knight, you hit him later. And it's over. All over. What's this? Nothing. There you go. You're busted. You're down, what? You're down, well, okay, look, wow. Black's going to take back the bishop. All right. So you're down a rook for a queen, right? And you're down, the pawns are equal. Big deal. All right, you got the queen for the rook. Black lost this one. All right, so that's what's being threatened with this rook move, folks. Rook over here. So what does Morphy do? He challenges that rook, right? I believe move 26. Let me make sure I got it right. Move 26. He brings the king rook to e8. Look at this. Just like Shredder shows, Lowenthal brings the rook down all the same, right? And now Morphy's really got no hope, no chance now, because everything is still forced. If he goes here again, the bishop, right? The bishop, folks. He comes back, and it's the same as before. Let's just make sure with Shredder, right? I don't want to mislead you. It's all the same. All right, he takes here. Look at that. What is it? What does it even matter? Look, you get the queen, right? Okay, you go up there. So once again, you're down. White's got a queen for the rook, all the same. Okay, but this time the minor pieces are still on the board. All right. so after this, here comes the rook. No hope. There you go. You gotta Morphy chops it off. You got it, folks. You just gotta take it. Here comes the pawn, right? Taking back, hitting the knight. Now, if the knight moves, right? He's only got that square, folks, over here. Well, then you get the discovery. And what do you do now? Look at it. So desperate, he's just going to throw his rook into the garbage. Look, throw it right into the wind. You're going to chop him off. What are you going to do? Block here. Now the pawn promotes. You get a queen. Oh, forget it. You're forced to the H-file all the same. And I guess it's going to be over, right? Look. What can you do? Wow, look at this. You don't even take the queen. He takes your queen. You hit him, and it's mate. Look at that. Nice mate there with the bishop, huh? Look at that. Because the pawn on G5 takes the dark square. That's it. Nice. Takes away H6. Right? Black can't move the king at all. All right, so there's another way to go, right? The dangers, the pitfalls, the traps, the tactics. All right, so he can't move the knight. So what would he do here, right? What are you going to do? Well, you hit the bishop. Big deal. You hit the bishop. He could take with check, right? If I'm not seeing this correctly. A matter of fact, after the takes the, let's see, he takes the Lowenthal takes the rook, and that's what Morphy does. He hits the bishop. What can you do, right, folks? What can you do? All right, so he takes with check, king over, and now Lowenthal brings, just like Shredder, brings the rook, challenges the rook. Now, if the rook moves off, folks, I mean, what can Morphy do here? If the rook moves off, I mean, like, really, where can he go? If he goes over here, all right, look, they get the queen getting in the game. Attacking down the long diagonal, right? I mean, what could Black do? This is your best move. I mean, what if you do block like this? This looks like a sensible move. All right, you're going to bring the rook over, threatening down here, threatening check down here, and you win the rook. You skewer the black king, you take the rook, right? Okay, there's the threat. See, if you take over here, you take your bit. Look, this is what Shredder says you should do. You play the black queen here. That shows you black's busted. Common move, common sense move looks like it's this, right? All right, so you take the bishop. All right. You don't want to take the pawn on F7. Why? What happens, folks? Well, he takes... I don't know what's really going on here. Look, make it easy game. I mean, oh, look, he's coming in through the back door. Look over here. He's giving check. So, folks, why not play it simple, right? Yeah, just force a trade of queens. And you got your rook in the corner over there. You're up a rook. Why get fancy, right? Just keep it simple. Look, here it is. How are you gonna look? He likes to check first. Isn't there something else? I don't know. Now you take. All right, fine. Now the king's forced here. It's his only square. All right, he's down a rook. It's all over. Right? So let's see what Morphy does here. He can't move this rook off the. He does. Morphy takes it. I mean, what am I trying to say? He's got no other choice. That's what I'm trying to say. What's he gonna do? Where's he gonna move this rook that's gonna help him? He can't. So Lowenthal, smart move. He's forcing the exchange of rooks. And now he's up that bishop. And it's the more pieces that, when you're up a piece, the more pieces that come off the board, the more powerful that extra piece becomes, folks. All right, so here we are now. Lowenthal up a bishop. It's looking pretty bleak for Morphy now. Pretty bleak. All right, so the bishop, what move's that? 31. All right, so the bishop takes. Now we got the check. Oh, look at this. Check. It was better to take the king-bishop pawn. Better to take this guy out. Dangerous pawn on the 7th rank, right? You don't want him promoting. Just giving another reason for white to build up tactics around that pawn, for trying to promote it. Look at this, though. He gives the check, Now Lowenthal blocks with the bishop. Okay, all right. Morphy takes this pawn over here. I guess he's more focusing on creating a pass pawn of his own on the queen side. So now he's got a pass c pawn, right? And he can basically trade off the a pawn if he wants, and then he'll have two pass pawns on the queen side. So maybe he's thinking endgame or something. Maybe he could, I don't know. Maybe he could use the dynamics of his own pass pawn to fight back. I don't know. So anyway, look at what happens though. Now Lowenthal cements in his f7 pawn. So now it's protected. I mean, now it's dangerous. You got a mating net around the king. He has no squares, right? So Morphy comes back, put pressure along the third rank on that g pawn. Okay? And now look at this. What Lowenthal would like to do is bring his queen to the h file and swing down and around. You know, swing down, check the king, king moves, then you promote the f pawn, right? And you'd be given check at all the same. So he would like to jump to the h file, but he would abandon the g pawn on g6, and Morphy would take it with queen takes check, right? And then you'd win the f7 pawn too. So forget about it. So what Lowenthal does, he brings the queen here to still protect the g pawn, and now he could go to the h file from here, from h5, all the same, protecting the g6 pawn, right? Makes sense. All right, so now what does Morphy do? Well, he's really got nothing else but to go on be a nuisance with the queen, go on the attack, check him, right? So the king comes up to h3, and here the queen puts it, attacking the bishop on f3, trying to take with check, you know, and check the white king to death. But Lowenthal's hip, he moves over, queen h5, protecting the bishop, and continuing with his plan to come down the h file, right? Give check and it's all over. All right, so now Morphy brings the king up. At least now he doesn't gain tempos with checks. For instance, if he does anything else, I don't know, just make a move, right? He comes down with check, king moves, then all right, he goes here, he checks, and he keeps going with the checks, and the attack would be relentless, right? But Morphy moves the king. So now if Lowenthal was to swing down, there's no check, right? Now get a load of this, right? I mean, it's bleak for Morphy. It's bleak, but he's trying to hang on. He's trying to do what he can. And look at this. You got Lowenthal playing queen to h4, right? Check. Check move, so he didn't abandon his bishop on f3. But here's what they say, folks. He had the game. He had the game. What he should have done was actually promote the pawn with check, right? When the king takes, now you come down with check, you see? And it's even worth giving up that f-pawn, so now you can continually, you get your attack going, you're checking the king, you just completely grab the initiative. And really, there's no one to help the poor king over here. He's all helpless by himself. So now the king only has one square. Now you take this pawn. All right. Now your g pawn is free to advance when it can. All right. King moves, right? Where does he move? Let's say Shredder says to go here, right? All right. So now you give the check. Give the check here, right? All right. So now he goes here. Let's just look at this. All right. He goes up. Now, the thing I was looking at, is if white could trade queens, he's got it, easy peasy, right? Now look, he can't. The black king can't go up here because of the white bishop, right? He can't go anywhere here. The queen covers it. He can't go to c6 because of the bishop, right? Oh wait, I think the victory music's a little early here in this variation. All right, look, if he comes down. Well, then the queen goes here. It's mate. Oh, it's almost mate. He can't step to b7 because, again, the bishop, folks. The bishop covers b7. So the only thing he can do is block. It's his only move. And then look at that. You drop. You see this? This is comical. You go here. Right? He takes, and you win the queen. And now it's all over, right? You were trying to trade queens, so you're just up a bishop. which would be enough to win. Here you're up the queen. You think this is enough, folks? Come on. Let's get with it. It actually says mate and 7 at this point. All right, but anyway, let's, he's going to probably promote the pawn, right? Yeah, there you go. He's going to promote the G pawn. I'll have 2 queens and it'll be over in seconds, right? Not minutes, in seconds. Now, if he steps here, let's see. If he steps here, I mean, what else can he do at this point? If he steps here, what do? You win the guy all the same, right? All right, so anyway. So that would force him, right? Now, if he comes up, if he comes down, you give the check here, right? You trade, and now you're up a bishop. Okay? King comes up, no dice. See? Pawn goes in to G8. The bishop keeps the king out. The pawn keeps the king out. He can't get to it. He can't get to it in time. He goes here, a big deal. He goes in, queen, game over. Right? So, folks, if you go back, even before this, like, say, you push the pawn, if you attack the bishop, big deal. I go in with my queen. That is, Shredder's taking charge right now. Let me turn him off. I want all the credit. Look at this, see? Yeah, big deal. He takes your bishop, you win the pawn for it. Ah, who cares? You're up a queen, right? All right, so easy win once again. Okay, and now let's look at this. So that's easy. Right here on this check, he goes down, easy peasy, right? If he goes up, though, folks, look at this. If he goes here instead, you still go in. You go in with the check. You trade him off. Oh, no, you're going to lose your bishop. Like I said, big deal. The king can't fly. Folks, this isn't flying kings, right? No way can the king. This isn't flying kings. That's checkers, okay? You can't stop the pawn. He goes in the next move, right? With check. How about that? You're going with check. Big deal. What? You think you're going to. You think those pawns got a shot? Look, folks, put Shredder on. I'll play against Shredder. Right? Let him make the moves. I'll tell you what. Let him look. Okay, you give the check. I mean, what's he gonna do? He can't promote those guys. Obviously, you're gonna want to bring your king to support him somehow, right? So anyway, look, you come. Why fool around? Why not just go right here? Attack that guy, right? All right, he protects him. You attack him. All right, he moves up. Here we go. Did I just make it hard, folks? I think I just blundered. All right, wait a minute. All right, keep the C-pawn back. Keep this guy from coming up. All right. So now he wants to try to support him. All right, you win this one. All right, look. Okay, fine. I like trading over there, right? All right, you check first. King goes here. You check here. Goes over, you grab the C-pawn maybe. All right, now you trade here. If he takes, you take with the queen. Or he goes there, you take this guy. I mean, forget it. Goes down, you go chop him off now, right? You just go chop him off. Wow, I'll tell you something. Did I almost blow that? Let's say you come back like I did, right? I mean, heck, you could grab this. What am I doing? Is that where the queen is? Yeah, you grab this one. Why not? Ah, big deal. You chop them off, right? Let's see. Yeah, you pick off the A-pawn. Look at that. Nice move, Shredder. Thanks. Big deal. I'll take here, right? He tries to go in. No dice. All right, you win that one. I win this one. There you go. What's he going to do? Try to promote that guy? Come on, we got the king now, folks. You launch this guy, he goes right in, right? All right, simple enough. Simple enough. Yet I almost blow it, right? Gotta be careful. Now I'm winging these. I'm just throwing them quick. You know, when you got a lead like this, the first thought comes to my mind, and I'm jumping in. Now, if I was playing a game with, you know, where you got like 10, 15 minutes in the end game, you still got enough time. And you sit and you think. You make sure you don't make any quick moves and blunder away the game. You know. That's a whole other aspect. You got to learn to pace yourself when you're playing these tournaments and you got the clocks. Learn to pace yourself. You'll get a feel. That just comes with experience, though. But here we go. Anyway, okay, so this all stems from the fact that Lowenthal, after Morphy played king e7, he should have pushed the pawn down, given up that guy just to get the initiative here to finish black off. Okay, as we've seen. Okay, there you go. And you would force the trade of queens, even get rid of your bishop, but you promote to win. All right, so that's what the old masters, they just said like this, he should have pushed the pawn. That's all they said. And then with this, you end up there. You end up, they don't conclude with how it ends. Like, I went a little further to be complete, you know, for thoroughness. All right. So now here we got Lowenthal giving the check on h4. Giving the check on h4. All right. So move 37. Okay. So now the king goes to d7. Now again, if you notice, the queen's hitting that bishop on f3. So Lowenthal moves the king over to protect it. All right. All right. Here's what they said. Here's the move, folks. Get a load of this. And now queen to d8 check should have been played with the same philosophy as before, folks. The same idea, no different. King takes, right? Because if, let's see, can he even move? If he moves here, you know, you lose. Heck, wow, do you promote to a knight? Look at this. Knight? It's mate, right? What a checkmate, huh? You promote with knight, giving the deadly checkmate. Sticking the knife in him. Look at that, huh? Oh, wait, that's a queen. You promote to knight. Wow. I didn't even see that before. What I initially figured, oh, you can't go here because then you just lose your queen, right? But why fool around? Look at this. Ain't that something else? Promote, under promotion, that's called. You under promote to a knight just to finish the game. You go get something to eat, right? Why waste time? All right, so anyway, he takes the queen. He takes the queen. Here's what the old masters give. Takes the queen. Now you promote this guy for a queen, not a knight now. You don't want to do that. And then, all right, king's got one move, right? You go here. You chop off the pawn to set up your G-pawn promotion, right? And now where's he go? Okay, if he goes down, you do it all the same, right? He can't go here because of the bishop on F3. He's got to come up. We give the same pattern as before. Transposes. All right, he goes up, and there you have it. Take, take, take. Pawn in, game over, right? Like I said before, you don't want to blow it. All right, here come the pawns. Check. Let's make sure. Maybe I could do it a little better here. This is technique, folks. This is called technique. When you clearly got the win, it's like the mathematics. Now you got to just prove it, right? Here you go. Look, you give check here. Oh, that's no good. All right, king over first. Protect your own pawn. How stupid of me. All right, the pawns start rolling. Oh, that's no good because now you could give, let's see. Give check. All right, what else can he do? He's got no options. Look at this guy. Let's say he moves this up. Keep control of C4. All right, no big deal. You go here. All right, you get this one. There you go. Get the check there. He's got one square. You take this one. You're pinning the C pawn. All right, there he moves up. All right, you check. He goes back up. There you get him over here. And you launch this one and it's over, right? How about that? What's he going to do now? He's going to abandon his C-pawn? What's he going to do? The only way to hold the C-pawn is to go here. There's no other move. Right? He goes here. You take the C-pawn with check. Let's see what he does with this. All right. So you're coming down to promote. And he can make no headway. Look at this. If he goes here, you don't even care. You just keep going down. Look at this. Look at this, folks. Queen with check. King up. Only square, right? Is that no? He could go here too, but doesn't matter at this stage. All right, you go here. You don't want him to promote on C1. Not that it even matters at this stage. And wait a minute. That's That's mate. I didn't even see it. All right, so anyway, come on. What are we doing, right, folks? I just figured, some beginners are watching. They might be nervous because Black's got those pawns. Can he make a pawn out of it? So I want to at least show some technique here and clearly show you that Black is busted. All right, so it works out all the same. This time, though, we got there by sacrificing the queen, and then you get the promotion, and you get your queen back, right? And it all turns out the same. You're forced to trade the queens, and it's game over. Promotion on G8. Okay, so here we go. Let's go back. That's what Lowenthal should have done. He should have thrown the queen on G8 check, right? What does he do now, folks? Here it goes. It says, judging by his last two perfunctory moves and the following ridiculous blunder, one would suppose Lowenthal to be tired out. Folks, he goes, let's see, what does he do? He goes, let's see, wait, he goes to queen. Oh, yes, king here, right? He moves the king there to protect his bishop when he should have played this. That's all I was saying. Okay, trying to say in a roundabout way, right? All right, king over. Now, here's what the old masters are talking about. Watch this blunder. Morphy brings the queen back to D6, stopping the promotion of the pawn, obviously, right? The pawn can't go in now. Morphy would chop it up. So look at this. I don't know. I guess maybe he's tired. This is what the old masters are giving him a little leeway here. They're saying he might have been tired by this move. Queen down. I mean, it's not check now. I don't know what the heck he was thinking. Look at this. Now, Morphy grabs the G-pawn with check. Remember, this is what the whole idea of queen to D6 was before, right? All right, so now Lowenthal decides to go this way, and now he loses that pawn, too. And at that stage, right, does he give up at this point? No, not yet, not yet. Get a load of this. He's on the A-pawn now, too, folks. Insult to injury. He's threatening. Queen takes A2 with check. All right, so Lowenthal wants to see that pawn. He moves it up. Right? So now, here's the queen. Queen to E7, attacking the A3 pawn. King comes up. All right? And look at that. By coming up now, Morphy jumps down and gives him a check. And he goes to G2. And now Morphy swings to D2 with check. And now the computer's saying this, but Lowenthal goes back up. And then you go here, and you're just going to check all day long, I guess. And Lowenthal called it quits. It was a draw. A draw, folks. Time not recorded. But, you know, folks, so, I mean, on the check, Shredder was saying here, right? Just let the F-pawn fall. And White would grab this with check, and then who knows, right? The material is actually even, if you notice. The bishop's worth 3 pawns, and Black's got 4 of them, right? White's got 1 pawn. They both got the queen. So it all depends on the position, I guess, right? Both kings are naked. They're going to be harassed. So I don't know. This might even favor Black if the queens get traded, because Black has the winning chances. He's got a chance to promote a pawn if the queens were gone, just suppose, right? Already, he supports his bishop, queen in the center of the board, and now here goes the Black nuisance here. Now the black queen's gonna check the white king. But all right, look at this now. Let's see. You don't have anything else, huh? All right, check here. King over. Check here. All right. They could get a swap. But with the king going here, you don't want to swap like this, because then the pawns are busted. The pawns are busted up. Interesting enough, we talked about endgames before. The bishop is the right color. He actually controls the promoting square of this A pawn. So it is the right bishop to have. So if white could, take out these pawns, he might be able to win this. But the thing is, black would never do this, right? You never want to just bust up your pawn. You want to keep the pawn chain intact. These are isolated and weak now. Every pawn is weak. So black wouldn't do that. Okay, so you go in with the check this way. Now, let's say he goes here, right? He goes here. My mistake. All right, now you trade this way. I wonder if you can, if you trade this way, you force a queen trade. Now, if he takes, I guess you take with the king, you come up, right? Yes, you don't want to, because now you isolate this guy, and the B pawn is weak now. You see that? If you take like this, the white king could come over to B4 and take out the B pawn perhaps. But you get your king coming up to challenge the white king with opposition, right? You try to push those pawns. You're going to probably trade the white A pawn off, and then only black would have winning chances. Here we go. You're going to trade off the B pawns, right? Look at this. You see what the threat was, folks? Well, it's not really. White could bring the bishop. Well, I was thinking white could attack the B pawn. If it moves, you get the A pawn. But the black king's there. The black king is there to protect. All right, he goes after this one. You got to save him, right? Put him on a dark square. All right. Now you're giving black a tempo at C5? Really? That pawn is dead over there. That's showing a draw. The evaluation shows a draw, but wait a minute here. Let's see. He goes there, right? You push. All right, he takes him out. Wow. Let's see. Can black win this? I don't think so. Because let's say like the engine takes. He's got to get on this diagonal or over here to control A2. Else the pawn goes in next, right? Now if you push up, this makes no sense because he just chops him off, right? And then he's got nothing to block with. So why not bring the king up, right? Now you block him, right? Now you block him out. Oh, he's going to take with check. Damn it. Well, wait. See, if I go now, if the white's moved, see? If he goes now, he takes with check. And then he gets that guy. Damn it. All right. He comes here. And it basically transposes that there's no hope. Let's see, you get your king up. You can't even do it. Look at this. You can't do it because now he takes, right? Can't move here, he takes. You can't even come up because the bishop covers it. All right. Interesting endgame, right? I'll tell you, you study these endgames. Beautiful stuff. You really see the power of the pieces. You get an idea. Look at the bishop on the diagonal, how it controls, right? Something else. So, okay, wait. So what if you don't take, you go forward? What if you, all right, he takes the point. What if you go forward? Is it all the same? Well, he goes here. King's got to get off the diagonal so the bishop can cover this, right? So he could cover B1, the promoting square. All right, now he goes here. A real nuisance. All right, he's going to cover these. Matter of fact, if you look now, look at the evaluation. Black is lost because that A3 pawn's still on the board. You see this? So that's all the difference, folks. Let's watch it. Let's watch Shredder tear me up now in the end game. Taking away all my options, right? Let's see. What if I go here? All right, he goes up. And now I have no choice but to abandon that one, right? So what do I do now? I mean, do I go down? All right, he cuts me off. He's going to win these pawns. Damn it. Now, wait a minute. What would be pretty is if I go here, right, and he takes. You know, if I didn't have this B pawn, that would be stalemate, folks. You notice that? That would be stalemate. I'd have nowhere to go, but I have to promote. I'd have to promote because the bishop takes away the A6 square. It would have been stalemate. I had nowhere to go, but now I had the promotion move. Now I have a A6. He checks me there. All right. Now I think simply just king up. Why not just... Oh, okay, that makes sense. He goes here, buys a tempo. He abandons his own pawn. Right? Gets to come out. Why not chop him off? All right, if he goes here, the black king comes up. I don't think it matters. We'll do what Shredder wants. Okay. All right. Start the keep the opposition. Right? Look at this. Keep the opposition. The enemy king can't come up at all. All right. Chop the pawn off now. Well, the black king's got to stay in the corner, right, folks? Can't let that pawn come up, but it's going to be no use. We showed it to you before, folks. We showed it to you before. The bishop is the correct color. He controls the promotion square, right? If you go here. If you go here, king up, king over. All right, now what are you going to do? If you go out, he promotes. If you go in, checkmate. See that? Beautiful. I know this is a little review, a little endgame bonus here. Another endgame bonus. We love these endgames, right? King here, big deal. You go in. All right. What do you do? Saying to come down. He's hoping for this, folks, right? He's hoping for that. Then you go right in. You gobble up the pawn. But he knows what to do. He comes right in this way, right? He comes, if he tries to go in, all right, you give the check, or you just do this. Look, you can force him out. Force him out. Get out of here. And you go in this way, right? And you get your queen. There you go. See? So, all right, there you go. An interesting endgame. But I guess black would definitely have to take the A3 pawn, and you go with the draw. Go all the way back, right? Something like this, you got to go for the draw, I guess. You just take it, and you hope your opponent maybe blunders, right? It is saying this, you take it, no, doesn't matter. You get a tempo on the bishop, it's not going to really matter, is it? Let's see. Nope. The evaluation still shows that, let's see here. You go here to keep the enemy king back still. But he's working his way closer. All right, here comes the enemy king. Now, you're going to win the bishop here, right? He comes up. Look at that, by one move, one stinking move. Because, do like the machine says, and your pawn goes bye-bye. Look, what are you going to do for your pawn now? He tries to run. Help, help, Daddy. All right, it's all over. Look. One move, folks, one move. If you go here, you figure you go here, right? Well, now the king grabs the opposition. The white king grabs the opposition and boxes them in. See this? Here's another little end game bonus here. Look, nowhere to go but here, right? Don't let the king out. I mean, if you go up, he pushes the pawn, you go here, king can't get out, it's all over, right? You could go this way, like Shredder's saying. Okay, he goes this way, and you just keep doing this. Look, you never let that king out. He can never get out and let his pawn promote, right? So eventually he just has to go like this. Game over, right? It's all over. Draw. Beautiful stuff once again, folks. So, all right, there you go. Little end games there, little end game bonuses. Pretty nice. All right, so there you go. Game number 32, right? Let me make sure of that one. Pull out the Bible. Here it is, 32. All right. 13th match game between Lowenthal and Morphy. All right. Not the best game by either stretch, but very interesting. Very interesting. I tell you, even the losses and the draws, I'll tell you, there's something in every game, folks. You could absorb these ideas, the combinations, the tactics in here, even the end games. Yes, we got end games too, folks. Morphy's games of chess. All right. So I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, we'll see you with another exciting episode. Good night.